Another night where I try to flee these pain-filled eyes. A red man stands by my side. He says, son, don't you know I can make you fly? Lean a little closer and I'll tell you a secret. Let us make a deal, now you can take it.
Welcome back to another episode of BSing Sports. For those of you that are listening on Spotify, because yes, I finally got done being lazy for over a year and started re-uploading our episodes to Spotify. That music is by Orphan Rivers, courtesy of Bill. Thank you, Bill.
It's actually courtesy of my wife's cousin, Scotto. But yeah, still Orphan Rivers. Check him out on Spotify since you're already on here.
Yeah, and then obviously check us out too. And there's somebody else you can check out on Spotify too. We have Jake Biasotto from Talking 215 here. How you doing, man? It's been a while.
Oh, it is always a pleasure to be on with you, gentlemen. I appreciate you having me, and I apologize for a little bit of a scratchy voice today.
Oh, well, you know, it adds special effect because we are talking about the Phillies who are coming in a little scratchy. So it's pretty fitting at the moment. You know, another horrid loss today. They just finished, you know, a 10-9 disaster. Really? I know they played bad, Doc. They just finished a 10-9 disaster loss to the Mets today. It's unbelievable. Mets win 3 out of 4 over the weekend. Not exactly how we want to look at it as Phillies fans. Tim, why don't we start with you? Go ahead and give us your take on where the Phillies are going from here.
I think that Bryce Harper will be coming back sometime soon, and they really need him right now. They're struggling. Everyone's so cold. They need help. They need a fire in our lineup right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think most people would agree with you. Jake, being the guest, I'll save the best for last. And Bill, why don't you give us your opinion on where do the Phillies go from here?
Listen, they're in a bit of a rough patch right now. Fortunately, they're playing the Reds here in a 4-game set coming up. But for whatever reason, this little ticker right here, something we could talk about. Phillies have only beaten the Mets 5 times this season, which is going to be a problem walking into the postseason, considering that might be a team you need to be playing. As I pointed out to you guys separately, is the Phils hold the tiebreaker with every other NL playoff team right now. However, it's a big deal that they just cannot keep up with the Mets when they're playing the Mets. So obviously the addition of Bryce Harper, who's supposed to start his minor league rehab here either Tuesday or Wednesday this week, is going to be huge. So we're looking forward to seeing Bryce back on the field. But overall, it's a problem that they just cannot beat a division rival this season. It's just a big deal.
Yeah, it's actually criminally embarrassing how much real estate, you know, the Mets own inside of the Phillies' heads at this point. Jake, why don't you go ahead and give us your take on where do the Phillies go from here?
It's tough. I mean, you go into a 4-game homestand where you're not going to be facing their top pitchers. You're facing the guys that really rarely even start at all at a major league level, and you're missing DeGrom and Scherzer. And if you told me that we're going to have Wheeler, we're going to have Nola, and we're going to have Gibson pitching, I'd have figured based on their last number of starts, like, all right, there's 3 or 4 right there. Who would have thought that Bailey Falter would come in and outpitch all of them and it's not even close. I mean, Gibson had no command whatsoever today. Same with Nola, same with Wheeler. It just seemed command was completely lost of our supposed top 3 pitchers, even though I've been saying it all year long, I'd have Ranger as the 3rd pitcher without a doubt. But you go into a game where you get some run support early on and then just slowly let the Mets crawl back into it every time, take a late lead. And we'll touch on why that late lead here in a minute, I'm sure. But you guys touched on it perfectly. Bryce Harper can't come back soon enough. He just revitalizes this team. It's going to be able to have a really consistent power bat in that early middle part of the lineup. I'll be curious to see what everything does, what kind of shakes around and see where people get moved in the batting order. But it can't come soon enough.
Yeah, I agree. The consistency that comes with the lineup of Bryce Harper being in it versus out of it is crucial. I mean, to recap this series, the Phillies, that was the big thing, was consistency. There was one game where they pitched really well and scored 1 run, and then today, you know, they score 9 runs and they lose. It's all about consistency, and I feel like the Mets just being so far in their head at this point, you know, the Phillies are not going to beat the Mets in a playoff series because of just how I touched on how much real estate they own mentally. The greatest saying in sports is baseball's 90% mental, and it really shows out there because the Mets on paper, especially when you're missing 4 out of your 5 best starters, they didn't face Mad Max, they didn't face DeGrom, they didn't face Carrasco, they faced Chris Bassett for a game, and then guys who should be in the minor leagues, they just got their asses handed to them. Pardon my French, but that was terrible. That was a highlight series that could have turned the Phillies into, okay, the MLB is going to consider us true playoff contenders, and it didn't happen. So I think, from my perspective, Phillies on paper have a long way to go to win a World Series. I still believe that they'll make the playoffs, but there's no hope for winning a World Series this year, and it shows. Moving on from that to recap, this series, what do you think the real struggles are against the Mets? Because you look at the top teams, Jake, and they have a positive record against the Dodgers. They have a positive record against all the other teams above them in the standings, except for the Mets. What's the difference?
I think you said it perfectly. It's mental. I mean, you can look at a multitude of different interviews with players on extremely successful teams, and they'll tell you there's just that one team, and it's usually in their division because, like we said before we got on, you face them 19 times a year. So, like, you're going to see them more often than any other team. It's just that one team in your division that has your number. I mean, how many years has we had it in the past where we were a much better team, but the Marlins were beating us, 15 out of the 19 games. And there is no reason for them to do that. We were the better team on paper, by record, everything. I think it's really just mental. And who knows? I mean, this is a Mets team that you would think that they have won 5 of the last 15 World Series with how their fans act and with how they're all over on social media. But the Mets are going to Met. Like, it happens every single time. Like,
I love that phrase. The Mets are going to Met.
They will. It's a guarantee. You can. It's like the sun will rise in the morning. I have no faith in them doing anything. And look, if we see them in the postseason, we're going to be fully healthy, knock on wood, and hopefully we'll get a lot of our bullpen pieces back. I know Knable's done for the year, going on the 60-day, was it yesterday? But we're going to get, hopefully, Sir Anthony back, and who knows, but it's just mental. They're a good team. They're better than us, but they're not 15-4 better than us. They mentally beat us in probably 5 of those games.
Yeah, and then DeGrom beat us in another 2. Tim, what do you think the issue is? Do you think Jake hit all the points home?
Absolutely, Jake definitely hit them, but I think he missed a big one. At first pitch strikes. They're swinging out way too many. Kyle Schwarber, the first inning, he should not be swinging at first pitch strike.
No. He
needs to be taking a leadoff hitter, takes it to a 3-2 count, 2-2 count, make them pitch pitches.
Now, listen, I love that take, first pitch strikes. I absolutely love it. However, not from Kyle Schwarber. That's not the way he plays. That's not the way he's going to play. Do I think that in this
exactly
lineup,
don't put him leadoff then?
That's what I was about to say. Do I think that in this lineup he needs to be a leadoff hitter? Absolutely not. Bryson Stott hit 328 from the leadoff spot when he in his small stint there. You leave Bryson Stott there, you move Schwarber down a couple of spots. So from Kyle Schwarber, no, I don't think that's how you adjust his aggression. But from the rest of the team, absolutely 100%. I'm with you. First pitch strikes, first pitch swinging at garbage. And every team knows that he's doing it. Every team knows that we're swinging at first pitches. So they're throwing sliders in, sliders away, and we're swinging at them.
Listen, it can be a good thing at one point when they're on, but they're not on right now. They need to do whatever they can to get back to the level they can.
I don't want to say they're not on. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They're still pushing from June 1st. I don't want to say that they're off. However,
the last 10 games were against the Reds and Mets.
And they lose to the Mets, as we pointed out. every other team in baseball right now, the Phillies are really pushing. They really are. So I don't want to say that like they're down and out. It just feels like a woe is me situation right now because they played the Mets and then they only won 2 out of 3 against the Reds and then they lost 3 out of 4 to the Mets. I don't want to sit here and act like we're like this woe is me team and we're like limping into the time that we get Bryce Harper back, because we're not. We're walking just fine. We just got beat by a team that's in our head.
Very well said. I'm glad for all those opinions. That being said, yeah, I kind of agree with everybody here. The approach from the lineup is super suspect at this point in time because, yes, Bill, as a team, they are not playing poorly if you take away this Mets series. However, from an individual hitting perspective, the consistency just isn't there. I've had this conversation before, I think, with Joey, actually, is when you see, guys struggling at the plate, you see Bryce Harper, he's going through his lows. What he does is he takes pitches, even pitches he thinks he can hit. He takes pitches. Why? Because there's a difference between just getting yourself out when you're hitting 150 over a period of 10 games and having productive at-bats. And these guys aren't doing either. When they're cold, they just swing at the first pitch. Hopefully that's the one that gets them back. No, they're not grinding. They're not working hard. And I pointed it out. The only one that has done that this year is JT Realmuto, because when the season started, he was terrible. But every out he made was productive. He was always hustling up the first baseline. I very specifically remember a game where he beat out a double play, and then the next batter, Bryce Harper hits a 3-1 ball into the gap, and he scores from first base, and the Phillies take the lead.
It's talk about that one.
It's the little stuff like that this team just doesn't do well. And that's why they're not consistent. That you don't see the sack flies. You don't see sack bunts because it just doesn't happen. But you don't see small ball being played. I mean, let's take a look at the Braves. Last night, they beat the Astros on a walk-off because Matt Olson intentionally moved the bat all of 3 inches in the zone to hit it to where the shortstop would be because he wasn't there. It was probably a 50-mile-an-hour hit that scored 2 runs.
Man,
why? Because he did it. Because he knew he was given, or he was taking what everybody was giving him, and this team just doesn't do that. And that's why you've seen such an explosive growth. And then you see a team like the Mets, who outside of their defense, Keith Hernandez plays pretty good small ball. They're going to get beat by teams like that every time. Now the Dodgers, I could see the Phillies playing better against because they're similar in structure. They're boom or bust. But
let me ask you this really quick. When it was now 5, 6, 7 weeks ago, I don't have the exact date in front of me, when Harper went down with a broken finger, did we think that they would be as competitive as they are without him? How many people did you see tweeting? I'll have to look back. I might have said it myself. I'm not 100%. Season's over. How many people went there right to, well, season's over? I mean, this team, it's great. It's like a pro and a con. Like, we are arguing that they didn't beat the Mets, that they should be in so much better position, where when it first happened, we all had a lot of people had that initial impression of, okay, well, season's over. They're going to win 10 of 50 in the stretch that he's out. And they're playing very competitive baseball, whether it's Rob Thompson, whether it's guys stepping up. I mean, you saw, July Bohm right after June Schwarber. That was phenomenal. Restarted August off insane. Then you had a stretch of Stott in there.
Castellanos was contributing.
Sticks is starting to heat up a little bit. I say he's back, but the power's not there yet. We'll get there with him. But it's still great that we can be complaining that they aren't winning more when we all thought early on they weren't going to win nearly anything without Harper in this lineup.
That's true. It's true.
And you know what? I'm not even going to give kudos to the rest of the lineup. The pitching staff and the bullpen this year has done outstanding. That being said, let's get into some individual performances. I know you're a big Castellanos guy. You remind us every day, almost every at-bat, actually. So, Bill, I'll go ahead and ask you first. What's your take on Castellanos' first 3 quarters of a year here in Philadelphia?
Listen, I mean, it's no secret that he started off relatively good, average-wise, not power, as you already pointed out, and then he went from, 303 or 304 to 240 over a stretch of 30 games. However, it's worth pointing out that in his last 23 games, he's hitting 342 with 2 home runs. The power isn't there like we expected. Castellanos, he's not going to get the 30 home runs this season. However, I think we're seeing the approach at the plate more like way closer to what we thought we were getting when we signed him to the contract. The power is going to come back once he continues to swing a healthy bat. That at bat in the 9th inning, he saw Realmuto take a fastball up the middle at almost 1,000,000 miles an hour and take Diaz's head off. So what does he do? He gets in the box and he swings the first pitch fastball and bloops it into right field for a single. He's becoming more confident, and as such, the rest of it will follow. I know we say that all the time, like, just get up there and make contact, the rest will follow. But Castellanos is proof of that at this point.
Tim, what do you take on Castellanos in his first 3 quarters of the season in pinstripes?
I like him. I never did not like him, but like Bill said, his average went down at the beginning of the season, halfway through. He's coming hot now. I know that he had a walk-off a couple weeks ago when JT beat out a double play, and then he hit a home run. Other than that, I think the biggest problem is he was signed to be the DH, and he's not being a DH. He's playing every day in right field, and that could take a toll on someone.
He was signed to contribute.
He was signed to be the DH.
He was signed to contribute.
I think he was signed to be the DH.
That may be the case. However, it's not in his contract. Like in Bryce Harper's contract, it says that he will not play center field. So Nick Castellanos was signed to contribute. Now I hear you. Maybe he had it in his head that he's only going to sit in the dugout and then hit baseballs over the wall. But look, we've experienced it this season the entire time. That's not what happens in baseball, brother. Like somebody gets hurt, you got to step up. And listen, at first he did struggle, and I'll admit he's definitely not the fielder that Bryce Harper is. His arm isn't as strong. And you know, we've given up runs because of that exact fact. But he was paid to contribute. And that's how I feel about it. So I'm not giving him the excuse of, he's had to play the field all the time. You need to be a professional. You need to put what's going on in the field out of your mind when you're standing at the dish, and vice versa, really. So I'm not letting him get away with that as an excuse. Like, I thought I was going to be a DH, and now I'm playing right field or left field every game because Bryce Harper's hurt. Like, I don't want to hear it. Sorry, continue. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay, because you know Jake's big Castellanos guy. If you didn't know that, you need to go follow him on Twitter at Talking215 and figure it out, because he'll let you know every at bat that he's a big Castellanos guy. And one of these days he's going to call those home runs.
Oh yeah.
However,
pull up that comment.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Timmy. Go ahead.
Pull up that comment real quick from Ken.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Which one? There's like 7 in a row.
I never throw him a strike down and away. I agree with that. He's too far off the plate right now to me, but that comes in when he gets more confidence and able to do it. He move up again. It's all confidence in him right now, and he's getting there again.
Here's my take on Castellanos. Castellanos has spent his entire career in Detroit and then goes to Cincinnati for a season. He has never played for a team that has had any sort of expectation like the Phillies have had, especially a Phillies organization that has missed the playoffs 11 consecutive seasons. I feel like as it was, that's true. However, I feel like that kind of takes a toll for a little bit. You know, Castellanos has never played. Think about it. He's been in the league 7 years, and he's never played on a competitive baseball team. He's never played for, a team that had the expectations of we need to get to the playoffs this year.
Neo, thanks for chiming in here on YouTube. We appreciate you, buddy.
Neo. September, and we haven't. Sounds like to me. I mean, it's still August.
I didn't read the comment. I just was appreciative that he was watching our show.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you for watching, Neo. However, we will see come September, because we all remember 2007. Every single one of us.
Yeah, we do.
That being said, yeah, back to Castellanos. I just think that he when Harper went down conveniently is kind of when you saw him start to come back around. He kind of settled in and was like, okay, I'm expected to do something now. I just think being the weight of expectations as a team and him supposedly being a big piece to that, as he was the number 4 hitter, I think that just got to him for a little while. Now, the power's not there. I don't expect that it will be there at this point if it hasn't come around now. I'm just going to say hopefully the doubles come back next year. But to me, I think the expectations got to him. And it happens, I mean, let's be real. If we take June away from Schwarber, he's terrible. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say if we take June out of Schwarber's season, he was awful this year. So there's so many inconsistencies with this team. Shout out,
brothers. Thanks for again, YouTube. Thanks for hopping on and listening to us. We appreciate you. Subscribe to our channel, both of you guys, please. Thank you.
Yeah, if you guys are looking for subscriptions, follows, there is a ticker at the bottom of the screen. It's that red bar scrolling at the bottom. If you can piece it together, that's all of our social medias. Go ahead, give us likes, follows, subs, whatever. My damn kid.
Jake, give us your take on Castellanos, buddy.
Well, Bill, is Ryan allowed to say that expectations are a valuable excuse, but Tim pointing out the fact that, there's a complete difference in the mindset approach of only focusing on at bats and being a DH can't be an excuse. I'm just trying to figure out where we fall on these things.
No, I mean, for me, the excuse is absolutely once you sign the contract, you're paid to contribute. There's no ins and outs about it. Just because you're not doing what you thought you might be doing, or because an entire city is expecting more from you. First of all, you signed a contract in Philadelphia, dude.
Obviously, but if you're a right fielder and you get signed to a team with Bryce Harper on it, who, if I look correctly, is a right fielder, are you expecting to play a whole lot of right field?
No. However, when it was signed, they made it the Phillies made it pretty clear that he was going to platoon and left with Schwarber, meaning he was going to play.
But not every day.
Understandable. However,
it's still valid. It's still a valid argument.
I stand by. You are paid to contribute. Again, any way you want to twist and turn it and fix up my words. He signed in Philadelphia.
Yeah. No, and it's a point where regardless of where you sign, where you're playing, you need to do what you're asked of. I'm tired of seeing people. You don't really see it in baseball a whole lot of times. More of basketball and football. Even they just want to start backing out of their contract because they're unhappy with whatever they signed. But
Ben Simmons,
look, you're paid to do a job, and his job right now is to play right field and hit balls, and he's doing both, but not doing either too well, other than probably the past month where he started a little bit of a resurgence. Look,
I think he's playing exactly as could be assumed in right field.
Defensively, he's about where you would assume that he would be. He's got a very weak arm. He has average range, and he's got a pretty good glove. He's not going to drop the sure things. He'll make an occasional very nice play. You won't see a web gem from him, and you won't see a ball bouncing off of his head. But
we can only hope.
Exactly. You've seen a complete change in his approach at the plate recently. I mean, you were talking about first pitch swinging, and look, you saw it almost September. Yeah, Neo, let's come back to me in 2 weeks, bud. No butthurt here. If you listen correctly, I said the Mets are a better team in almost every aspect, but they are not a 15-4 better team, which is their record against the Phillies this year. Look, you are what your record says you are, so technically, yes, they are, but in actuality, they are better, but not that much better, and they will Met. Just watch. But Castellanos, he's changed his approach to the plate. His head, he's keeping his head way better through the at bat. Where early on it was flying out of there when he was in his slump. He's watching the ball like you heard. Every dad tells their son, "Watch the ball, hit the bat." He's really doing a lot better job tracking the ball all the way through contact, and that's why you're seeing him pull these balls down the left field line, and then you're seeing him occasionally bloop one over into right field. You're going to see that launch angle go up. You're going to see the exit velocity go up. I'm just happy to see 11-game hitting streak. I'm just happy to see a plus 300 batting average over the past 23, 25 games. You're seeing, I saw the comment of low and away. It still is kryptonite, but it's far from what it was 2 months ago. I mean, they could throw literally 3 straight pitches, and he would Charlie Brown, Lucy football. He would kick that damn thing every single time. And I mean, at least the game I was at in person just the other week, I was watching every at bat because other than the only person that might be a bigger guy then is a big Bohm guy. But I was watching Castellanos real tight, and he was watching those low and outside. He may still reach out every once in a while, but you're seeing a lot of productive at bats. I've seen him work multiple 6, 7, 8+ pitch at bats, and you get an occasional bloop single. He should have had an RBI last night. Dusty Wathan didn't wave JT when he could have moonwalked home. It was no hurt. He ended up getting home in 2 batters later, but you can't take an RBI away from my boy. But no, Castellanos, power needs to be there. I've been on record. You had June Schwarber, July Bohm, August Reese/Stott. You're going to have September Harper. He's going to come back with a vengeance. And then October Castellanos, if we can play into October. That's the month you're going to see him really catch fire.
I don't know that he's ever played in October is the real issue.
No. That's why it's going to be good.
Speaking of Bohm, actually, he was the last individual player that I wanted to touch on in this episode. Obviously, the guy's got a great, track record of hitting with runners in scoring position here. Hit a couple dingers tonight. What are we doing with Bohm? What's the holdup? What is our expectation for him going forward? And do we see him as a centerpiece of this franchise, maybe along with Harper? Start with you, Bill.
Start with Jake.
Perfect. I was going to stick my hand up. Boom. I actually had Ben Silver on our show. Anybody that doesn't follow him, he's phenomenal. Works with Phillies SI. And we were touching a little bit on who is like a staple of this team. You got guys like Segura. He's most likely going to be off the team next year. You've got the new guys that we just signed, Schwarber and Castellanos. They're locked in regardless. Obviously, Harper and JT are locked in. And then you got some question marks out there. Is Reese going to stay, or is Derek Hall going to kind of be in that position? Are you going to get rid of both of them? Is Bohm going to be your full-time answer at third base? And I settled pretty firmly on yes. Like, he needs to be your locked-in third baseman, lock him up for a long-term deal, and he's gonna be what he is defensively. He's a below-average defensive third baseman that will occasionally shut people up with a bare hand grab, sidearm throw to first base, but you're going to have a few errors. You're going to have some mistakes there. All we need him to do is make the plays that you need to make. And more times than not, he makes those plays. And then you have a guy that has potential to really be a 280 at the bottom end, 320 at the top end batter that gives you a little bit of pop every now and then. He's got after today, I think that's his 12th homer on the season, something like that. I don't have it in front of me, but the guy's got to be just full. He doesn't need dinner. He's got 6 ribeyes and 2 taters on the day. That's a big plate, man.
Yeah, and 1 big fat L. Tim, what do you think about Bohm?
Yeah. Jake said pretty much everything I had to say, but I know that Bohm plays the hot corner, and from a person who played the hot corner all the time, it's a dangerous spot, and he's going to make errors. It's plain and simple. It's gonna happen. He's not Nolan Arenado. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not
too many of those laying around.
Huh?
Not too many of those laying around.
Exactly. Like he's gonna get you the RBIs. He's a great RBI hitter for us right now. He gets on base. He's not afraid to swing the ball, hit the ball when he needs to be. I think he might be able to play first base if he does a little bit of training, and Reese and Derek Hall won't be here next year, in my opinion.
You think both of them might be gone?
I think both be gone and Bohm be
wow.
playing.
I hope we speak that Reese is gone into existence if there's a better option out there.
Which brings me to me. Reese Hoskins is the best free agent first baseman on the market that we know of as of right now.
Yeah, but you could afford to take the best third baseman free agent at that point, which might be said Nolan Arenado.
Which I'm glad Timmy brought up, and I totally agree.
Get a lot of money.
If Nolan Arenado is available and the Phillies can swing a contract somehow to get it, they do have young guys. Jake already pointed out Segura may not be in the lineup next year. You're talking. Maton has played really well in his opportunity to play. You're talking Bryson Stott has been playing phenomenally better over the last 3 months of the season, 2 months of the season. So you have these young guys that can play the middle infield. And I mean, that's really what you want to see. You want to see like homegrown talent, middle infielders, and then grow around them, right? So as you also pointed out, Jake, you got Schwarber and Castellanos and Harper and JT all locked up. You've got Nola locked up for a few years, Wheeler locked up for a few years. What you're going to need is either a first or third baseman in this offseason. So hear me out. If Nolan Arenado is not available and the money is just way too much, the Phillies are going to keep Reese Hoskins because he's the best first baseman and free agents on the market as of right now where we stand. Reese Hoskins will be a Philly if the Phillies don't immediately make a run and get Nolan Arenado. Having said that, Bohm is starting one of those 2 positions next year. The Derek Hall project, I love the home runs the guy hits. However, he is very much boom or bust. And I don't know that that's the type of first baseman that we need. He's more of a pinch hitter for me or a spell guy. So for me, Bohm is playing first or third, and they should lock him up with a contract vis-a-vis the Austin Riley, not as much, but the Austin Riley deal that the Braves just gave their third baseman. Go lock him up before he hits a ceiling. Pay less now to have him long term.
Scott.
Yeah.
That's where
So you stole my thunder. You look at the trend around baseball, and I've talked about this specifically around the trade deadline talks. You look at the trend around baseball. You look at teams like the Braves. They just signed Harris to a 9-year, $72 million deal, and he's a platoon player now. So obviously they have intentions on making him a full-time starter because he has the skill set too. They signed Ronald Acuna to a rather pedestrian, $18 million a season, maybe. If that, why? Because they signed him early before he hit his ceiling. If you let Bohm grow into his body and start hitting 20 to 25 home runs a year with the, I will disagree with Jake, slightly above average defense he plays, because if you take away one game this year where he had 3 errors, he's only at 7 errors on the season. So he's actually not really playing that bad at third base. I'd say average.
Guy, I'll take it.
I'll say average. He does have some work over there to do. However, if you make the run at this guy when he hits his ceiling, when he grows into his body and his power potential runs around, you're going to end up paying a lot more. They need to do with Bohm what they tried to do with Scott Kingery and fell flat on their face with. Go get this man for an extended period of time at a cheaper rate. Because if you look at that cheap Austin Riley contract that's only $21.2 million a season, and you can look at Bohm's numbers and say you're roughly about 2/3 of the player. You mean to tell me I'm paying Alec Bohm for over 9 years, like $13 to $16 million a season? Sign me up for that. Sign me up for that. Because he's good. If he grows into his body, hits 20, 25 homers, his great runners in scoring position guys, so probably hit 100 RBIs, give you around that 300 average Jake was talking about, and plays average defense. I'll take that for 9 years. I really will. There's no way that you can convince me that that's not helpful. You don't see guys in their early 20s hit 303 with runners in scoring position for their careers. That doesn't happen. There's a clutch gene there that just it's not with guys. He's got it. You know, that game where he had 3 errors, he responded beautifully. He said, "Fuck this place," and then didn't back down from it. He owned it, moved on, and then had a great game the next day. If I'm not mistaken, I think he had 3 hits.
Got a standing ovation.
Standing ovation, yeah.
Yeah, you know, he's built for this place. Go get him now before you got to pay him $20-25 million a season. Bohm needs to be here. That's just my take on it. But moving to our second to last topic, not speaking of, Jake brought this up earlier. The lineup with Harper when he comes back, what's it look like? We're all going to assume that Harper slots in the 3-hole, correct?
Yes.
So where's Bohm go? Where's Realmuto go? Where's Castellanos go? Go ahead, Bill.
So I kind of already alluded to this, and I hope Rob Thompson's listening. I think
that'd be pretty sweet.
Bryson Stott should be our leadoff hitter. Yeah. And then I think it should go Schwarber, Harper, Realmuto, Bohm, Castellanos, Hoskins, Segura.
I can give you 20 million reasons why Schwarber will hit leadoff.
I understand your 20 million reasons. However, I'm looking for a playoff berth and somebody to just take a pitch or two. But no, that's my hope. My logic here is it probably goes back very similar to what it was on day one. Schwarber, Hoskins, Harper, Realmuto over Castellanos, Bohm, and then, round out the lineup with Stott, Segura, and Marsh if he ever comes back.
I'm not anticipating on Marsh coming back. Tim, what's the lineup looking like when Harper comes back?
I agree with Bill that Stott should be in leadoff section, but I think Segura should be in second. Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos, Bohm, and like the bottom 3. I'm going to mute myself.
Dog.
Jake, go ahead.
I'm going to give you what I think they will do, not what I think they should do. I think they're actually going to put JT back in that leadoff spot. You've seen kind of time in, time out. They kind of like him there. I think JT is going to be leadoff. Then you're going to have Bohm batting second, Harper third, Schwarber fourth, Hoskins fifth, Castellanos sixth. I don't think he should be here by any means, but I think Stott will go back down to the 7th hole. And then you're going to have Segura and you name it with
Zimmer, Marsh, whoever's playing.
Yeah.
Zimmer, which is funny because Marsh is like a poor man's center fielder anyway, and Zimmer's like a poor man's version of Marsh. It's kind of funny.
I like JT in the leadoff spot, actually.
I do like JT in the leadoff spot.
Yeah, I mean they both have proven to be able to work good at bats, and they both have about the same kind of power, extra base hit, OPS when they're hot. I just think they're going to go for a little bit more of the proven track record. But I'm still very, very high on Stott and his future. I just see them going the JT route more than the Stott. But I want nothing to do with a Schwarber leadoff. Once June 38th ended, he should have been out of that spot.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I disagree with all of you guys. As much as I want Schwarber to bat somewhere else, he has stated that he would like to lead off. And as I've alluded to, there's 20 million reasons why that's going to happen.
To contribute.
So Schwarber, he's actually contributing. He's third in the MLB in pitches seen per at bat. As much as we are harping on him right now, you know who's first? Rhys Hoskins.
Mm-hmm.
Rhys has always worked really good counts.
Yeah. So Schwarber, contrary to the comments that we have all made on this show, is actually doing fairly good over the stretch of the season in terms of seeing pitches per at bat. However, I believe that number has dipped from the last time I checked, which was in the middle of his hot streak. That being said, Schwarber will probably lead off. I could see Bohm batting second, although I'd love to see him bat fourth. You think about the combination of Schwarber, Hoskins, and Harper, who I believe will be the top three. One of them is going to get on base, and Schwarber, or not Schwarber, Bohm hits good with guys on base. So yeah. I would love to see him hit fourth because that's realistically the spot that he'll get the most opportunity to hit with runners in scoring position, which we've alluded to he's very good at. Unfortunately, I don't think that that'll happen. I do think that Realmuto will slide into the 4-hole. Castellanos will bat fifth. Bohm will bat sixth. Stott will bat seventh. And then you can put Segura in the 8-hole and center fielder in the 9 spot. Doesn't matter who's going to be there. They're all the worst hitter on the team anyway. This position, that's been a position of plague since Shane Victorino left.
Yeah, actually, I like your lineup. I mean, honestly, any one of the lineups that we gave would probably be effective. But I hear you.
That being said, we got one more topic to cover. Yes or no question. Jake, starting with you. Do the Phillies make the playoffs?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
I would like to point out that I tweeted on July 4th that they will be a playoff team. So I will keep sharing that every month so you guys know. That will do it all from BSing Sports here today, but we will let Jake close out with his taglines so that way you guys know where to find him. Jake, go ahead. Advertise yourself very nicely, sir.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you can find us at Talking 2 and 5. That is Talking Without a G. We're primarily on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We are looking to get, expand a little bit as you all do so well over here at BSing Sports. Can't thank you enough again for having me on. We do a very similar kind of thing over at Talking 2 and 5, but with a sole focus just on Philadelphia sports. Eagles, Phillies, Flyers, and Sixers with very little Flyers talk because Chuck Fletcher's an idiot and Comcast should sell the team.
Yes.
Agreed. Well, thank you for another episode here at BSing Sports. Bill, go ahead. I'm not going to steal your line from you this week.
It just gives me so much excitement to say it.
Well, send it, brother.
Thank you for joining us here at BSing Sports, where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports.
We are closing out. Have a good night, guys.